You crossed six figures, $100,000 a year, the number you spent your 20s believing would change everything. And then it arrived, and somehow your account at the end of the month looks almost exactly like it did before. The raise came. The relief did not. If that is you, I want you to hear something clearly. You are not bad with money. You are not the only one. More than half of Americans earning over $100,000 a year say they are living paycheck to paycheck. And it gets stranger the higher you go. 60% of people earning more than $200,000 a year say they feel like they are in survival mode. There is a name for this person. The economists call them a Henry. High earner, not rich yet. A big salary, a nice title, and almost nothing left over. And here is the uncomfortable truth this whole video is built on. The reason your six-figure salary feels like nothing is not a mystery, and it is not your fault. It is a trap with three doors, and almost everyone walks through all three without noticing. Let me show you each one. The first door is the one nobody warns you about, because it happens before you ever see the money. Taxes. You think you got a $100,000 raise to your life. You did not. A single person earning $100,000 takes home somewhere around $70,000 to $78,000 after federal tax, Social Security, Medicare, and state tax. So before you make a single decision, before you spend $1, the six-figure number you are so proud of is really closer to $6,000 a month in your hand. That is the first quiet lie of the big salary. The number on the offer letter was never the number in your pocket, and yet the lifestyle you start reaching for is sized to the offer letter, not to the paycheck. That gap, right there, is where the trouble begins. Sit with the real arithmetic for a second. $6,000 a month sounds like plenty until you start subtracting. Rent or a mortgage in most cities takes $2,000 of it before anything else. A car payment near $800. Insurance, utilities, a phone bill, groceries that cost more every month. Add it up, and the comfortable six-figure life is spending $5,500 of that $6,000 before a single dollar reaches savings. You are not living large. You are living exactly at the edge of a number you thought would feel like room to breathe. And the moment one thing goes wrong, a medical bill, a job change, a broken transmission, that thin margin is gone, and the high earner reaches for a credit card just like everyone else. The second door is the famous one, and it is the deadliest because it feels like success the entire time you are walking through it. It is called lifestyle creep. Here is how it works. You get the raise, and almost immediately, quietly, your definition of normal moves up to meet it. The apartment becomes a slightly nicer apartment. The reliable paid-off car becomes a new one with a payment. The occasional treat becomes the default. None of these feel reckless. Each one feels earned. You worked hard. Why shouldn't you have the nicer thing? And that is exactly why it is a trap. It does not arrive as one bad decision. It arrives as 20 reasonable ones. The average new car payment in America is now about $767 a month. Housing has quietly become the single biggest line in most budgets, eating roughly a third of everything. Every time your income goes up, your spending rises to swallow it, and your savings stay flat or worse. This is the cruel mechanic at the center of the trap. A raise does not automatically make you wealthier. It only makes you wealthier if the gap between what you earn and what you spend gets bigger. And for most people, every raise they have ever gotten was immediately spent into a higher version of the exact same life. More income, same anxiety, a nicer cage. Let me make this real with two people, because the numbers tell the story better than I can. Picture two neighbors. The first earns $60,000 a year and drives a paid-off car she keeps for 10 years. She lives a little below what she could, and she quietly saves 20% of what she makes. The second earns $140,000, more than twice as much, but he has the new lease, the bigger mortgage, the better everything. And after all of it, he saves about 2%. Now run it forward. The lower earner is putting away around $12,000 a year. The higher earner, despite more than double the income, is saving under $3,000. Give it a decade of steady investing, and the woman earning $60,000 ends up wealthier than the man earning $140,000. Not because she earned more. She earned far less. She just refused to let her spending chase her income. That is the entire game in one picture, and almost nobody is keeping score this way, and it does not stop at spending. Once the lifestyle outruns the paycheck, the gap gets filled with debt. Among people earning over $300,000 a year, more than 60% are carrying credit card balances they struggle with. Read that again. $300,000 a year and still underwater. That is what happens when the cage keeps getting more expensive and the income, however large, simply cannot run fast enough to catch it. The third door is the quietest, and it lives in your head. It is the moving goalpost. Ask people how much they would need to earn to finally feel rich, to feel like they had made it. The answer, on average, is around $520,000 a year. Now here is the part that should stop you cold. If you ask the people already earning $500,000, they would not say they feel rich either. They would name a bigger number. The goalpost is not a finish line. It is attached to you. It moves every time you move. So you can see the full shape of the trap now. The salary is taxed down to something smaller than you think. Lifestyle creep absorbs whatever is left, and the feeling of arriving keeps retreating just as fast as you chase it. 3 doors. A higher income walks through all of them and comes out the other side feeling exactly as broke as before, just with nicer things to show for it. Now I want to be honest with you because this is where the real lesson lies. The problem was never the size of your income. It was that you were measuring the wrong number your entire life. You have been watching your salary. You should have been watching the gap. Here is the number that actually builds wealth, and almost nobody tracks it. The percentage of your income you keep. The average American saves about 4% of what they earn. The top 1% of savers keep around 38%. And the quiet millionaires that researchers actually studied, the ones living in normal houses, invested somewhere around 20 to 25% of their income, year after year, no matter what they earned. They did not win because their salary was huge. They won because their gap was huge. This is why a person earning $60,000 who saves 20% will quietly outbuild a person earning $150,000 who saves 2%. Every single time. Wealth was never about the size of the river flowing in. It was always about how much of it you refuse to let flow back out. And once you understand that, the strangest part of the trap finally makes sense. The things that make a person look rich are almost always the exact things that keep them from becoming rich. The expensive car payment, the oversized house, the watch, the constant upgrades. Every dollar spent signaling wealth is a dollar that can never compound into actual wealth. The truly wealthy people researchers studied were almost boring on the outside. Modest houses, used cars, nothing to prove. Because they understood something the trap hides from everyone else. Looking rich and being rich are not just different. They are usually opposites. So let me give you the way out of the trap, and it is simpler than you would think. First, name the 3 doors out loud because a trap you can see is half escaped already. The tax bite, the lifestyle creep, the moving goalpost. Second, do the one thing almost nobody does with a raise. Nothing. When your income goes up, freeze your lifestyle exactly where it is, and send the entire difference straight into investments before you ever feel it land in your account. The raise you never adjust your life to is the raise that actually makes you rich. And third, change the number on your dashboard. Stop asking, what do I earn? Start asking, what did I keep, and what is my net worth actually doing? There is an old rule from a book about the millionaire next door. Your net worth, it says, should roughly equal 10% of your age times your income. A 40-year-old earning $100,000 should be worth around $400,000. If you are far below that, you do not have an income problem. You have a keeping problem. And keeping is the one part of this whole equation you actually control. If you want somewhere to start this week, make it concrete. Open your accounts and find your real number, the percentage of last month's pay that you actually kept. Not invested someday, kept. For most people, it is a genuinely uncomfortable number the first time they look, and that discomfort is the most useful thing that will happen to your money all year, because you cannot fix a leak you refuse to measure. Then pick one door and shut it. Cancel the upgrade you were about to make. Keep the car one more year. Automate a transfer that pulls 10% out the day you are paid before you can feel it. You are not trying to become a different person overnight. You are trying to widen the gap by a few percent and then a few more, because the gap is the only thing that was ever going to compound. The six-figure salary was never the thing that was going to set you free. The freedom was always going to come from the gap, from the quiet, unglamorous distance between what you earn and what you let yourself spend. The reason more money never fixed the feeling is that you were pouring it into a life that grew just as fast as your paycheck. The only thing standing between most high earners and real wealth was the belief that the next raise, the next title, the next number, was finally going to be the one that did it. It wasn't, it was never going to be, and now you know why. If this changed how you think about one expensive thing you've been telling yourself you can't have, there are a lot more of these, the real math behind the life you actually want. Subscribe, and let's keep decoding it together.